Hello, and welcome to the Merryvale Cask Room. I'm Andrew Wright, Merryvale winemaker, alongside Jeff Crawford, Starmount winemaker. We are here today to talk, I think, about both of our favorite varietals, Cabernet Franc. Of course, Cabernet Franc is one of the 5 noble Bordeaux varietals grown in France, made popular also in Chinon as a single varietal wine. Typically not made domestically in the United States as a single varietal. We are one of the few wineries that does, from this famous Stanton Vineyard, just south of where we are in St. Helena. It's always been one of my favorite Merryvale wines since long before I was a Merryvale winemaker. And really pleased to bring you the 2016, which to me is a phenomenal vintage, Jeff.
Great vintage. Long growing season, very even, able to make the pick decisions exactly when they were right for whatever program, whatever style you were going for, and I think this is a great example. Cabernet Franc, as you mentioned, isn't super prevalent in Napa Valley, but it's one of those things that I always kind of keep my eye out for. Yeah. I very much like it, maybe a little bit more kind of restrained as far as in comparison to Napa Cabernet Sauvignons.
For sure.
And I also very much like the kind of herbal element that runs through Cab Franc. You mentioned Chinon. It's one of the things that, nice bright Loire red that definitely has a lot of that kind of herbal aspect. This here a little riper, a little more kind of toned down, but at the same time, I think it brings the wine together and along with the kind of palate and mouthfeel. What are your thoughts?
I love this wine unabashedly. So Cabernet Franc is one of the 2 parent grapes of Cabernet Sauvignon, the other being Sauvignon Blanc, of course. And, a little bit more rustic tannins to it, a little bit of that underlying herbal nature. And I don't mean that in the pejorative sense of people when they say herbal mean. It's a fully ripe herbalness. It's a savory herbalness that really, I think, shines through. It is a little bit, to me, a little bit more refined and delicate than like a bombastic Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon would be. It's got, you can feel it's got some vibrant acidity still to it, but to Jeff's point, a little bit riper, a little bit more unctuous on the mid palate, and it's a lot longer. I think a great food wine.
Yeah. I love Cabernet Franc with food in particular. I think it, for me, pairs very well with lamb chop. You chop up some garlic, some rosemary, salt, pepper, olive oil, rub it on a lamb chop, toss it on the grill, and I feel like the kind of gaminess works very well with the gaminess of the lamb works very well with the kind of more subtle fruit of the Cab Franc and kind of those rustic tannins to a certain extent, and then the rosemary, garlic really get that herbal element to pop. And by the way, we need to stop apologizing for herbal. I think that is, in my opinion, something I look for in wines. Anything that adds complexity, I look for, and I think that having a little herbal quality is good. Once you get into that kind of, it can go a little overboard, and you can get to the point where it's off-putting. But at the same time, a little bit of that, kind of bay leaf or some of those other more subtle herbal spices or herbs. I think really just add an extra element to the wine that I don't think takes anything away. I think it adds.
I mean, completely. To me, the herbal element is terroir. It is those tertiary flavors and aromas that we're really seeking out, where it takes it beyond just fruit into a totally different dimension. Unfortunately, the wine writers have kind of made herbal a little
taboo.
A little taboo.
Definitely. Not here at Merryvale.
Not at Merryvale. Old souls, old world wines.
So what about you? What do you like to pair with Cab Franc?
Well, I mean, it's kind of insane to say, but one of my earliest food wine pairing memories, I was in my early 20s, so when I was just learning about wine, I had a Cabernet Franc paired with unagi, so eel and sushi, and it blew my mind and it totally changed my life. And there were 2 things that I'd never really consumed before, Cabernet Franc and sushi. I grew up in Phoenix, so not a lot of sushi in Phoenix, and the 2 of them together, it was just like you could kind of see through into a different dimension and like an experience in your life that I think I will never forget. So
that's great.
Anyway, a great growing vintage.
And drinking wonderfully right now, by the way.
Yeah,
The
it's
2016. If
good.
I tasted this blind, I would never say, oh, this has got to be 6 years old.
No,
I mean,
it's still fresh. It's still vibrant. But at the same time, it definitely has those
little
kind of
softer on the palate, and some
Absolutely.
tertiary. Absolutely, it's drinking great right now.
So pick some up, pick a bunch up. Merryvale.com. You see the deals. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.